Hey, it's Sparky, Fifer, 1250 AM, The Fan, along with our guy, Dwight Albrecht from the Spare Time Pro Shop. Follow him on Twitter at Dewey300. And, of course, Phil Brylow, $2 Phil at Bruce City Bowlings. We live stream this on the Odyssey Sports page right now on YouTube. You can also download this on your Odyssey app or wherever you download your favorite podcasts, like always. Okay, so first things first, we're going to get into the recap of the 2023 PBA Tour Finals because we need to do that. But more importantly than bowling, we need to talk about Dwight's life. So, Dwight, your daughter got married over the weekend, and when we last talked, you somehow or another got pulled into having to do different dances with your daughter for the father-daughter dance. Now, you said Butterfly Kisses, you thought it was going to be the slow dance. I don't know if that's what it was.
It was.
That's my favorite father-daughter song
It
ever.
is. Yeah, when you listen to the lyrics.
It's just so good. So you got to that. And then you had to do a bunch of fast dances after that. Mm-hmm. Phil and I were both concerned you were going to do something to a hip or something and end up in a chiropractor. You walked into the studio today, so it was a good sign that everything's okay. You say there's a video that people can check out on Facebook, right?
Yes.
I have not seen it. Okay, so do tell me, Dwight, what happened?
Well, first off, it's really interesting. It was a beautiful day. We had beautiful weather.
Yeah.
The pictures were taken down at the War Memorial. So there was a shuttle. Everything went off without a hitch. My three responsibilities was not to trip and fall while I was bringing her in for the ceremony.
Was that a graduation ceremony? Kid tripped and fell at American Family Field coming up the step to get his diploma.
So rehearsal night went great. It's mainly all set up. I mean, Emma Slee doesn't set up the tables and chairs. We have to. And so anyways, she was a nervous wreck on the side of the building. And I said, well, just smile at everyone. And I said, well, there's this guy and there's that guy when we were walking in and trying to, because she's a nervous wreck and trying to break the seriousness. And one of my wife's coworkers said, oh, how beautiful when we walked past. And I looked at her, I go, oh, you're talking about me. So that kind of, eased up all the stress up. Right.
Good job.
So I'm trying. Thank you. I'm trying the best I could because Ashley was a
once you get to the day, everything is done now.
Yes.
Yeah. Once you're there, all the stress of getting everything paid for and all the stress of making sure the caterer is there and all that, that's all done. Now it's that day and no rain. So you're good. Like, then relax.
And then we had the father's speech. You have to get through that. Try to remember everything and everyone. And
I
thought I could wing it. And then 3 or 4 more things were hit at me. Oh, yeah, you should mention this and that. So then I did decide to put a little quick notes in my phone to talk about it. But then the father-daughter dance.
Here we go.
Right. Yeah. Then the father-daughter dance. And so she ended up taking about 7 songs. And you dance a certain way to each one of those songs. Mm-hmm. And yes, I have worked on it for the last few weeks. We even worked on it in a room Friday night at the rehearsal dinner. I wanted to make sure I don't make a fool out of myself. So about half the Butterfly Kisses went fine. And then this is where it kind of gets funny. And Phil doesn't even know this, is the DJ did not even know this was happening, or I guess forgot was the word. So you hear this like record scratch, needle record scratch sound, and then it's supposed to go into fast-paced music and all these choreographed dances. Well, he looked at Ashley and I the first time around and said, "I lost the file," and he says that on the microphone. All right. And so I look at him like, what do you mean? I'm looking at Ashley like, oh, okay. So we have to walk off to the left.
You're saying, what do you mean? You should be celebrating. Well, guess we can't do it.
Right. That's what everyone said. Everyone came up to me. Well, that was one way that you could get out of this. And I'm just like,
you paid that guy a lot of money.
I look at it as I put a lot of effort into this in the last 3 weeks.
Oh, no.
I'm going to make a fool out of myself. I'm going to do it right now. So long story short, once it was explained to the DJ that there's another audio clip coming after the record scratch, we went round 2, and then eventually
it all played out.
Right. Then we went through all the different dances, and everyone had a great time, and everyone was laughing and clapping at each one of the songs that we did. And I thought I did, like Phil said, A+ for the effort.
Good.
You will not see me on Dancing with the Stars anywhere near in the future. Correct.
That's unfortunate.
Correct. And so actually, to answer your question, I did go to the Cairo in the morning. Thank God they open at 10 before the ceremony. And I looked at, I didn't get my normal guy. And I looked at the lady I had. I said, I need to be straight as an arrow for today. I need to get through today. Whatever you have to do to make sure that I remain straight as an arrow for the day, because I have all these crazy dances coming up. And so, like I said, Phil saw the video. It's out there on Facebook. I'm not both my page, but my daughter's page.
That's awesome.
Out there. Yeah. And I must have watched it now at least 18 times. I showed a lady at work yesterday at New Berlin. She wanted to see the video, and in the bar with about 4 or 5 people there, she's just cracking up laughing also when watching it.
Well, good for you. You're a good sport.
Yeah, Ashley looks fine, and then it's just the comic relief came from me.
Yeah, as expected. That's what was expected to happen. Right. So that all played out fine. Well, good.
Thank you. I mean, Dwight had like 6 or 7 dance moves. It's a good thing there weren't any more of them, because he would have lost them along the way. I mean, it was, you could tell he was like overthinking it a little bit. Like, what do I do now? What do I do now?
Probably. I kept peeking at her.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. That way.
Right. Oh, that's
it's not easy. I'll be the first to admit it. It's tough.
No chance it would happen.
And the thing is, try to get another 62-year-old guy that's out of shape out there and try to do it.
No chance. No chance. No, especially with everything you've been through. No chance.
But a beautiful day. We had opening of the gifts on Sunday, and now they're up in Doran County for a couple of days on honeymoon.
It's good.
I told them they got to stop at Sister Bay Bowl up
Absolutely. Yes, fish fry's really good there too.
Yeah. Right.
All right, let's get to the PBA Tour Finals recap here. A lot of bowling. Dare I say too much? It was a marathon of shows, just one after another after another. And when I looked at it at the DVR, I was like, okay, I'm not watching all of this.
Right.
I was like, so I got to pick, what am I going to watch? What can I get in to watch? So I recorded the first step ladder, the second step ladder, and then the finals. So that was 5 hours of bowling or whatever the heck it ended up being. So that's what we ended up, I decided to do. You were crazy busy. I don't think you even got through all of it.
I didn't.
Phil, did you get through all of it?
I watched some. Well, Saturday I was working the LBC doing the live streaming at the Lower Wauwatosa. Yeah. So, and they had it on in the bowling center. Yeah. So you kind of peek up here and there and see what was going on. But that was about it for the qualifying rounds. But yeah, I watched the last 5 hours from Sunday.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so here we go. So Group 1 step ladder. Now, first of all, let me first start by saying I'm all for the way they formatted it, right?
I knew you were going to be talking about the formatting.
I'm fine with the format. I would have preferred it spread out differently. The other thing, and again, I'm sorry, Tom Clark, but I've always had different ideas here. Maybe we go soccer next year? Instead of running Saturday night shows or all-day marathons, maybe we do a Saturday morning show or a Sunday morning show at 9 a.m., right? Central, so 10 a.m. Eastern or 8 a.m. Central. I don't know, something other than the way they kind of did it. Because how many people are up on a Saturday or Sunday morning, especially if you have kids, and you're just flipping through the channel, seeing what's on TV, seeing what you can find or whatever else. And European soccer, they start at 5:30 in the morning on the weekend or whatever the heck, maybe if it's a Premier League match or whatever else, bars are filled and all that stuff. Yeah. I just think that maybe to change it up to see what it would look like. And I don't know ratings-wise what it would look like, what the TV viewership numbers are like on a weekend morning, but maybe that's something to try and something to be different. Get up, have your breakfast, and watch the PBA Tour.
Yeah, but then you're looking at being out on the West Coast. I mean, you're looking at 5 a.m. start out there for them if they were doing it live.
Yeah, but you replay everything.
Yeah,
but I mean, you're looking for Premier Soccer. They play 5:30 in the morning our time, 6 o'clock in the morning our time. Yeah. What time is it out on the West Coast?
4 a.m., yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Figure it out if you want to get up and watch it.
The other thing would be the fans. Are they going to come that early to be in the stands for the taping?
No, I'd record it.
It's a tape delay.
Yeah.
Right.
Record it and play it back.
It's a casino. I'm sure you just pull them off the casino.
Record
liquor them up Saturday night and bring them in and let them hang over, have a buffet out there.
That is true.
And there you go, Sunday morning buffet bowling.
Record it the night before and play back the next morning or whatever the turnaround is. I don't know how much turnaround you need for that. Maybe you need more than that. But I mean, that would be something to consider too. Or maybe just the step ladders are in the morning. That you run the step ladders in the morning versus running a marathon of bowling on CBS Sports Network.
It just... How long are you going to hold that interest?
You're not.
Yes.
You have people tuning in and tuning out, tuning in, tuning out.
I mean, I'm a bowling dork and I couldn't do it.
Right. I couldn't. 5 hours. And we're not even talking about qualifying. Now, qualifying is totally different. But just the step ladders, which people want to watch.
Right.
And then the championship. Now, I got lucky. My 7-year-old loves bowling. So he watched both step ladders with me and the championship. So he was rooting for Troop. And then he was rooting for Chris Prather because he's from Illinois.
Right.
And he's a Cubs fan. The 7-year-old's a Cubs fan. I'm root for him. He's from Illinois. Okay, fine. Well, then when they ended up in the championship match against each other, I don't want to root for anybody. No pick. I don't pick somebody. This was last night. So I made a pick Prather. So we get to the second match. We're halfway through. Clear as day, Prather is not winning. And he's like, I want to switch. You want to switch? I want to switch to somebody else or not root for anybody. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But he literally watched all of it and was rooting and going crazy and all of that.
That's awesome.
Was completely invested in watching the bowling. So that was a cool experience for me. As far as the bowling goes, we're not going match by match and detail by detail. But Prather throughout the step ladder and also with the championship match, Randy Peterson was losing his mind, kept kicking out that 10 pin. And Randy seemingly wasn't being able to figure out what was going on. What kept happening was the I don't know what pin it was.
The 6 pin.
The bottom of the pin was what kept hitting the 10 pin out from behind at the last second. I've never seen anything like that in my life, Phil Brylow.
No, it was so bizarre.
And it was consistent.
Yeah, there were 4 times at least it happened.
At least
in the last 2 shows with Prather.
At least.
How'd you like Don Barrett's 10 pin where it slides
slid
into the 9 pin position?
Slid like a foot.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you see that at local bowling centers because the back end, they don't maybe maintain their oiling machine enough, and the back ends don't get clean. The pins are old and the bottoms are all oil soaked and everything. Those are, you looked at those pins, those are brand new pins.
Yeah.
And those machines, they're cleaning the pin decks off really well for the PBA Tour.
Squeaky.
Is that a requirement for the PBA Tour? Do they mandate new pins when they roll into town?
For the TV shows, they have their own.
Oh, they
but
do.
I
did not know that.
Yeah, they don't require any new pins or anything when the tour runs into town. But
just
for their own show, for the shows, they have their own nice looking.
Nice. It could just be for cosmetic reasons, also.
Right, sure. It's got the PBA Tour logo on and everything. Oh yeah.
On it. The thing I had a question for Phil is I've never seen that approach or lane surface. Do you know who makes it?
Cubica, AMF, all the stuff in that center is
grayish tint.
Yeah, there's a lot of different I guess colors basically that the bowling manufacturers are making now. AMF's got 4 or 5 different shades, and then those 4 or 5 different shades, if they have cosmic bowling, have different glow in the dark features on them. Like some look like road stripes, and others have like a different motif on them. Brunswick has 4 different colors of lane surface. So with these centers that want to be a little more boutique-y and high end and look high end and that kind of thing, that's where you get that grayish lane surface from.
Are we going to get to a point? Because I'm not against it. But if you think about like college football, Boise State has a blue football field.
Yeah. Oregon.
South Milwaukee High School is putting in a black surface right now. They're going to have a black field kind of going forward. Are we going to get to that point where, guys, if they want, they can have green and gold lanes for the Packers in their center?
Oh, absolutely. There's this is another PBA. There was another PBA event a few years ago, and I believe it was one of the tour finals where the lanes were basically white.
Cool.
They were that light in color. They were basically white. I remember talking to Carmen Salvino back in the day, and there was a TV show they did back in the 60s where they used silver bowling balls, and the lanes were coated black.
Really?
So
now that would be cool.
I can't find any footage of that anywhere. But it was a made for TV thing. So they mixed black in with the lane finish back in the day because it was wood lanes, so they had to refinish them all the time. And they had a black finish on them, and they used silver bowling balls, so it looked like white on a black and white TV.
That would be awesome.
Total change up. Looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can't find the video though, but I know here locally, JB's on 41 has some very dark maple colored lanes all the way down the lane and in a section of the building, and then just the regular lanes.
6 or 7.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's separated by a wall.
I haven't been there in a long time. It's been a while since I've been there.
Bolero bought that center late last year, and now it's under there.
So are they investing money into it now?
I haven't been there in a few months, so I couldn't tell you.
I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been there. All right. Let's go over some of these matches. So Don Barrett, Group 1 step ladder. Looking good, by the way, Don Barrett. Yeah. Defeat Jacob Buttriff, 254 to 202. Match 2, Kyle Troop gets by Don Barrett, 278 to 215. Kyle Troop's haircut. Thoughts, folks? Anybody?
Oh, I saw you tweet it.
He looks like a 70s porn star. I mean, I don't know how else to tell him nicely. And I don't know if that was, his girl. He's got a girlfriend. Maybe that was his girlfriend, cut it back. Maybe he was just too hard to keep, so he's got to cut it back every so often.
They made a comment on the show about it's half the time now to get him ready.
Right.
It doesn't
look like 25 minutes versus 50 minutes.
You don't need I mean, I like how he tried to still do the pick. He's got nothing to pick, obviously, at that point.
Yeah, he works the crowd.
Yeah. And then he won. So then it's like, oh, damn. See, I in my mind, I was kind of like, well, if he sucks, maybe we won't do this again. But he won. So
well, he's gonna have that stuffed animal every time now.
The stuffed animal. Hey, man.
Special K.
Listen here, man.
Mr. K,
Anytime,
Mr. K.
Yeah, Mr. K. Anytime there's a little kid involved and they think it's a big deal, and you love that little kid, you're gonna do anything for him.
Yeah,
you all know that, right? I mean, that's how it's gonna work.
Well,
and it was cool because at one point in the matchup against Tackett, so he gets a Tackett, and he beats Tackett beats Troop 257 to 247. And at one point, he had that thing turned around with his back towards the pins. And Randy Peterson was like, what was that all about? He's like, I needed somebody to talk to. Things weren't going so well. Yeah. And it was pretty funny. And I started laughing, and they made a whole big bit of it. And that type of stuff is great for the PBA Tour, Phil. Yeah. It just is. It allows people to connect even more, I think, with Kyle Troop, even more than they do before. That little stuff that, you know, bowlers don't think is a big deal. It's a huge deal to a fan base.
Yeah, but to our fan base, yes, trying to get outside of that fan base to what that story about the college coach was last week, that's not going to happen. And that sucks.
Yes,
it really does, because it's a really heartwarming, touching moment, and, you know, humanizes the bowlers a little bit more, which we really don't get with the PBA Tour. You see them on TV, and that's it. You don't, you know, it's not a lot of behind the scenes stuff unless you're a Darren Tang subscriber or a house subscriber on YouTube.
That's something else I was thinking about, because I am always thinking a different crap for these people. But this is the other thing. You know how you get this race to two stuff, and we saw it again.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I'll get to the Jason Belmonte thing. That's irritating to me. You might have time, right? So you might have 20 minutes or whatever else. Couldn't you, I don't know, help to promote some of these podcasts and play a few minutes of a YouTube podcast on TV? Hey, if you haven't checked out the House of Bowling podcast, here's a couple minutes of it from this week or whatever, and play some of it on the air and help promote it for them and get people interested. Like some of that stuff, it's different, completely different. Nobody else does it. But at this point, I think it's worth doing to help promote some of these guys.
Well, along those lines, Kevin McCune was the pro in town this week for the LBC National Tournament at Blair Wauwatosa. Okay.
Yeah.
So he had 20 plus minutes to be on TV after he won the Players Championship because of that format. It was a race, you know, best of 5. He won in 3 straight.
Got interviewed the whole time. It was like a post game.
And he goes, so many people have seen me now, and they stop me and they know who I am. And he was walking up and down the concourse at Bolero. And a year ago, nobody would have taken a picture with him, anything like that. They got to know him. They're asking about baseball. They're asking about the Cubs and stuff like that as they're walking up and down this weekend. Because of that, because they kind of got to know who he was a little bit more.
Exactly right.
Because of that interview. And when you get to humanize the people, it's pretty cool. And yeah, we were just sitting around on one of the squads doing the stream to YouTube and Facebook. And you just kick back and you just talk to the kid. It's a lot of fun. That's the other
thing they could do too. And every time we try to do recap shows, we talk about everything but the damn shows.
Right.
But the other thing that would be fun to do, and it's going to cost them money, I'm sure, or they could just have you do it and still cost them money. Yeah. But why not just put together a bunch of, I don't know, 5-minute or 10-minute vignettes type deal of the day in the life of a Kyle Troop.
Right.
And it's evergreen where you can play it on any tournament. It doesn't matter what. It's not specific to that tournament, but through the process of like what the day is like on day one of a qualifying of a tournament and where he does for breakfast. And maybe he goes out with another bowler and he's superstitious about going with the same dude or rooming on the road or the travel in the car and all these hours and that type of stuff. That would be cool too. If you had like, I don't know, 7 or 8 of these canned that you did throughout the year that you could play to fill at some point, I think that might be something else that could be fun. And then you could put them on YouTube for people to watch.
And it would remind me a lot of what Kimberly Pressler does with the Pressler questions.
Yeah, those are fun.
Right. Yeah. And it does lighten up the show quite a bit. I think change is good, though, when it comes to his hair, because doesn't it get a little stagnant after a while? You know, the pro with the
Raleigh Fingers handlebar mustache get stagnant to you?
Yeah.
No, it really didn't.
No, that was his thing.
Right.
You have a brand, you go with it.
Yeah.
I was okay with the change.
You have no hair. That's your brand. You go with it.
I did once have hair.
You don't try and grow hair now. It's over. It's just we move on. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's all
That'd be a story. Dwight walks in 3 weeks after we haven't seen him. Yeah, full head of hair.
Full head of hair, and it's brown and just a completely different color.
That actually does the hair replacement.
I
see those commercials.
I'll see if I
start thinking about it.
I'll see if I get you a sponsorship for them. Okay, so we get to the Group 1 step ladder, and Tackett defeats Troop 257 to 247. Hey man, I mean, what are you gonna do if you're Kyle Troop? What do you do? there's not much you can do. You bowled your ass off, and it didn't work out.
One hit.
Right. So Tackett does his thing. And then as quickly as they were both bowling well, things, as Randy Peterson, I believe, said, things slowed down this game.
Yeah.
And because that first game, it was strike, back and forth we go. And the second game, it slowed down. And we're having an open, and we're having splits. And things all of a sudden have come back to reality in a harsh way.
I think if you and Dwight would have just bowled on that right lane, on that Earl Anthony pattern, I think you guys would have shot like 700 yourselves on it, just staying on that lane, because they developed that so well. It was the same thing. They used that pattern here for the match play rounds at the World Championship, and it was so high scoring. That's where Belmo was averaging 260 whatever on that pattern, and he moved 2 boards and an entire 6-game block, that type of thing. So you knew that Anthony pattern was going to be the one that everybody was going to strike out. It's who was going to figure out and keep figuring out that Webb pattern.
And
that's what it came down to again.
My notes were, it seemed like the guys that tried resin had a hard time controlling the resin, but struck. But then they go to urethane, they can get to the pocket, but then they can't carry.
Right.
So that's was my main notes was from watching all the shows, was trying to find a urethane ball for the predictability, but still that can get the 10 out.
How much more did they square up with those urethanes, especially on the Webb pattern between the qualifying rounds and the ends of those step ladders? They squared up a ton. They all of a sudden became.
And you can see then the carry improved and the scores went up.
Squared up. Increase the ball speed and change the rotation on the ball. And I mean,
and they're masters at that.
I mean, Prather was just phenomenal with that.
But you gotta pick up your spares.
Yep.
AJ Tackett, dude, I love you.
Belmo missed a couple spares, and then Randy interviews him and says, and Belmo says, "Oh, I know you're going to ask me about my spare shooting." And Randy goes, "Oh, actually, no, I'm not."
But since you brought it up, let's talk about it. Tackett misses that 10 and you fell horrible. Right. I mean, head in hands, just what are you doing? My God, blah, 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 blah.
Costly. Yeah.
And then you got to come back and then go do that roll off.
Yeah.
And you got to, dude, it was over. He was done. He was shot. It was all done. You could see emotionally, he was done. It was over. Yeah.
Pick the wrong lane. It doesn't matter if you finish last. EJ didn't miss a single time on that damn right lane. And he goes, "Oh, I'll start on the right lane and finish on the left." It's like, no, why? If you both, if you spare on that first shot on the left lane, you're going to get 3 strikes in the 10th. That's 50. The other guy's going to have to strike all 4 times to beat you. And I did not get, and it was the same thing with the Belmo final too. Why did they let the other guy start? I understand, you're supposed to be the best. EJ's always like ball in hand. Look what he would do with the U.S. Open and the World Championship this year. He picked ball in hand. He won those matches. Why he didn't do that again, I don't get. The only person I can answer, it's EJ.
Correct. Yeah. No, good point. So Troop advances because of the roll-off, 48-40. I don't like the roll-offs. I've said this before, but my point of not liking the roll-offs really got magnified when we get to Group 2 step ladder scores. So Prather beat Simonson 233 to 226. And that was a fun match, right? You enjoyed that match?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. So then we get to the second match. Prather over Packy Hanrahan, 268 to 217. Prather is rolling. My 7-year-old is excited. Like, I said, well, it's over now because here comes Belmonte. It was fun. So now he gets Belmonte. And throughout this, as it's going, Prather is getting madder and madder and madder. And you probably have. I've never seen this dude mad. Yeah. And he was pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Because he kept, he thought he was sticking at the line. And I'm watching Belmo and I'm like, well, hell, he ain't having no problems. What the hell is going on out there? Why is this dude sticking so bad? And nothing's going on with Belmonte. So I was wondering what that was all about. But he was furious and there was not much. I mean, I don't know. Could they have stopped play, went out there, cleaned it, and then came back and continued? Or did they do that?
They would have both had to have agreed that there was something with the approach and that they were going to clean it during the middle of the match.
And Belmonte must not have agreed?
Belmonte didn't agree. He only had one footing issue on that right lane that I saw. Most of his footing issues were on the left.
Yeah, but wait a second.
But that's where
everybody that doesn't like Belmonte gets my rear end on this one. Because if I'm Belmo and I'm not sticking and he is,
right.
Oh, I'm good.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to clean.
Right.
Deal with it, dude.
Here's the other thing. A lot of the shoes have interchangeable bottoms. If you're having a problem, take care of it yourself.
Yeah, but if it's debris or something, that's a whole different story. And that's what it sounded like with Prather, is that there was something, whether it was leftover conditioner, if the oil machine got moved and some conditioner got spilled on the approach and it never got picked up, or something that was going on, or somebody from the production, could have had something on the bottom of their shoe and walked on the approach between games or something. And then, then there was something there.
Could have. So Prather beats Belmonte 228 to 215. Then Belmonte shoots a 300.
Yep.
300.
Third person or only person to shoot
three times on TV.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So once again, greatest of all time. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear anything else. So 300 to 202. Prather is livid. See, and that's the other thing that I don't understand. You choose to get pissed off when he's throwing a perfect game. Like you're gonna have time in between. Like just chill. You're getting all worked up in a lather. Then you get to the roll off, and Belmo loses it, and Prather wins, and Prather just all the emotion that was pent up inside, screaming and yelling and carrying on. I think that was good. I'm not sure how Belmonte felt about it, but I think it was good. That was the most emotion I've seen out of that dude on TV. I loved it. I hated the fact that the dude shoots 300 and now has 2 frames and it's over. Like that, I that sucks.
Well, it was kind of funny because watching it,
and he buried that shot and left a 10 pin. I mean, it wasn't like he had a bad shot, Belmonte.
I have an idea to eliminate that.
Damn.
Make it just a total pinfall then for the 2 games.
Fine. Done. I'm in. Screw the roll off. Do that. Yeah. I'm totally fine with that.
Which I get. The best of 2 gives the top seed a bit of a fallback. They can lose a game and still have a chance to win. So that's why it's good in that format. It's just something else other than just, I think 2 frames is not the way to do it. It should be maybe do 7th, 8th, the old bowling game, 4 frames or something. Yeah, there's the time in there to do it. 2 frames just isn't.
By the way,
do a mini game or whatever.
Who was it earlier? My mind's bad. I should have taken a note. Who was it? They shot 2 balls at one point when the thing was all over.
It was Packy.
Packy.
Was that Packy and Prather that shot it together at the end?
Yeah.
And Prather's like, is that the first time in TV that we've had 2 guys shoot this ball at the same time? I don't think it was. I think that's happened in the that Dominator format or Eliminator format or whatever it is.
Yeah, just during back in the Great America days, they had a couple of those.
But it was fun. Yeah, that was a fun moment too for the fans. Yeah. More fun to come. Now the championship match. Now at this point, you've survived 4 hours of bowling, possibly straight. As you're watching this on CBS Sportsnet, now comes to the championship match. It's Troop versus Prather. And this, I believe, was all recorded in one day, right?
Yeah, it was all live.
It was all live, right?
Yeah.
So Troop had been sitting there waiting for a couple of hours to see who he was going to face and have to come back.
Yep.
Do we think that's an advantage or a disadvantage for Troop, Dwight?
It definitely is going to stiffen you up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That long of a break, I mean, you're going to have to re-stretch back all out if you're continuing to bowl.
There's practice lanes on the side.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you could flip the coin and say, well, I mean, if you are either tired or some physical issues going on, you have time to get it worked out.
But wouldn't you rather be Prather? Wouldn't you rather bowl second and have the opportunity just to keep bowling if you're in your groove versus having to wait for 2 hours?
Rhythm.
Yeah. Right. I would be in that same boat. Let's keep going, man.
Right. I'd rather not have to stop.
Right.
So I think that put Troop at kind of a disadvantage, in my opinion. As I'm watching, I'm like, okay, this is all going on right now the same day.
Rhythm.
Yeah.
Then I would rather not stop. So he got forced to stop, come back. Now, again, you're playing for 30 G's. If you win this thing, second place is 15,000. So game 1, Troop defeats Prather 268 to 225. Really wasn't close. And you could see early on that Troop was kind of locked in. And you could tell early on from Prather's face after the emotional roller coaster he just put himself through that now it was going to maybe take himself a little time to get himself back up again. Because I think that whole thing with Belmonte took a lot out of him.
Game 1 coming out of the commercial break, you knew that it was, you didn't want to say it was a must strike for Prather, but he kind of made it look, his reaction was he knew he had to strike to keep up with Troop being so far behind early, and then 10 pin, and then he just kind of, it was it. This could be it for this game, and it was.
Right. So that happened. So out that goes there. So now you come back to game 2. It's Troop versus Prather again, and it's really not that much different. I mean, Troop was just locked in both games. Prather didn't bowl bad the second game. He just didn't bowl well enough. And it's funny because, again, I told you I was watching with the 7-year-old. As soon as Prather doesn't strike, 7-year-old goes, that's over. I'm like, what do you mean? Because going into Prather versus Troop,
he knows the score.
Going into Prather versus Troop, he's like, I'm like, who are you taking? He's like, Prather. He beat a legend. I'm like, he beat a legend. I'm like, well, technically he did beat a legend in Belmonte. That's right. But that does not mean anything when it comes to this. Right. And you saw it. Again, we were talking about how much, that may have been a disadvantage for Troop, but he was locked in for both of those games. And Peterson brought up the whole to Prather before that match started about salvaging a year.
Right.
Because he hasn't had the year that he wanted. And even Prather goes, well, second place is pretty good too. I mean, $15,000 is a lot of money, but I'm sure on the way out here probably made him feel better about how the year went.
Yeah, I mean, fighting injuries all year long, and really not making any shows.
Right.
I mean, which is surprising for Prather. And he had a quality 2022 that left him with enough points to make the Tour Finals.
Yep.
And one thing that I'm surprised they mentioned, everybody forgot. Bill O'Neill wins one more match at the Players Championship on TV. Troop's out. O'Neill's in.
Right. Correct.
I mean, talk about a huge change for Kyle Troop this year with not the end of his season, because there's still the Lucy and the PBA League. But yeah, talk about how things can change just off of one game during the season.
Right. One last thing here, then we're gonna wrap it up. Did you hear Troop and Prather at the end? Mm-hmm. It spoke volumes about that PBA League and what that thing is about. It just did. Because Troop hugs him. He's like, hey, man, I can't wait to go to war with you in September. Talking about PBA League, talking about being on the same team. That tells you how big of a deal that thing is for those guys. Something that started off as whatever, what a dumb idea. This isn't going to work. These guys are bought in right now, Dwight.
Oh, yeah. This is important to them. Andrew, I keep remembering the PBA League and Andrew Anderson not getting picked, and the guy starts bawling right in front of Tom Clark.
Right.
You don't think that this means something to these guys?
I was talking to Kevin McCune about it this weekend. He goes, last year, I could see getting passed over because I was making a run towards Rookie of the Year and that kind of thing. He goes, this year it's got to happen for me after the season I had.
Yeah,
I have no doubt. Yeah, it's going to happen for him. It's going to be interesting. Tom, when's the draft? We got to get something going. Yep. But yeah, 3 of the guys on Portland were in the top 8 for the PBA Tour Finals this weekend with Packy and Prather and Troop. So are those the 3 guys Charlie and Tim Mack hold on to? I'm kind of thinking yes. I'm thinking Wes is especially with the injury plague year he had. Wes might be done, and
agreed.
And Arturo, but you can always pick him back up if they stay out there long enough in the draft.
Wes Malada, not enough, I don't think, to. Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oldie but a goodie. Here's Dwight Albrecht, the dancing fool. $2 Phil Brylow. You can follow Phil on Twitter at Bruce City Bowling. Dwight at Dewey300, owner of the Spare Time Pro Shop in New Berlin. Follow me at Sparky Radio. Go, of course, check out 1250 AM The Fan.com. You're a Brewers fan. We do weekly interviews with Tim Dillard each week. You can check that out as well. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Have a good one. And next week we'll be off, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. Enjoy yourself. Toodles.